Alright, welcome back to another stream. Doing some Saint speedruns. I don't know, it might take a while. Hopefully I can get a few runs done, or at least 2 runs done this stream. But we'll see what happens. Here's your spoiler warning for Saint. If you have yet to complete it, now's your time to leave and not come back. Unless I guess you don't care about spoilers. Yeah, we're gonna be doing this. Talk a little bit more about this this run. It's not like an official speed run. Like I'm not going to be submitting this, so who knows like what kind of rules that I might be breaking on accident. And also I'm not using a timer. You're supposed to have a real-time timer alongside the in-game one, but I'm not using that. So you know, I might die a few times. I might make a few mistakes. This is mostly for practice and to try out a few new things that I have yet to do much of. And that is mainly the true ending in a speedrun, which is to ascend. Well, there isn't really an official true ending, but I'm going to be ascending both iterators before going down into the depths. Alright, doesn't matter if I do that now. Another big difference is that I'll actually be completing the run. Unlike my other Saint speedruns, I won't be putting out once I get to Rubicon. Since the first few attempts that I've done, a map of Rubicon has been released, or at least I've discovered it. And so I've actually been able to figure out a decent route through it. Because my first time going through Rubicon was kind of awful. But looking at the map, there's like a very clear route that is very, there's actually a few routes you can go, but that are much faster than what I've done. So now I'm heading over to Chimney Canopy. One big difference with doing a run where you have to go to the iterators is that ideally the last echo I get is the one next to 5 pebbles. Because last time you wanted to end as close to the subterranean as possible, but now I want to. Thanks, Lizard. I guess I should have gone down here from the beginning. Okay, that's unfortunate. I would have restarted, but let's just keep trying. I'll probably just go that bottom route. Well, hopefully the lizard, there's just no lizard in the way. I'll have to grab the karma flower. So the route was going to roughly be go to just going to involve like going through subterranean early to grab the subterranean echo, the undergrowth echo. Oh, wonderful. Okay, managed to get through. Then going from subterranean to shoreline to grab the echoes on that side of the map, ending with the one next to 5 pebbles. That way I can ascend them. I can ascend both of them and head down to subterranean again. But this time actually going through Rubicon. So it'll be my first time going through. Well, actually, I have done a full speedrun attempt of Saint, including Rubicon, but it was not very good. And it was not on stream either. Yeah, I've been doing these like slide pounce jumps. I'm not really sure how to do those over the other kind, but I'd rather do the other kind. Like that. Oops. Hopefully. Jump off. Very optimal movement here. Opinions on Gourmand? Gourmand? Are you referring to Gourmand or is it something else? Okay, sometimes those pipes in the ground can kind of mess you up. Oh, it's fun to just be able to skip this whole room, go up here. Yeah, Gourmand. I don't really like Gourmand that much. Like all the like crafting stuff and combat abilities they have, they're fun, but I feel like it's all kind of diminished by their stamina. I would enjoy it. I would like it if they were just slower and didn't have any stamina. Or like no problems with stamina. Even if they were slower, it would still like let you. Like obviously there's that's the way spears work. If you're at full stamina and you throw a spear, it's significantly stronger. It's like the strongest spear throw out of all the slugcats. Yet right after you throw it, you like lose all of your stamina immediately, which makes your next spear throw do the least damage out of all the slugcats. So you get one strong spear throw, and then you're very weak for a while. And that's an important mechanic. Like, I'm fine with the way that works. The problem is that lowering your stamina like that means that it's harder to escape a creature that doesn't die instantly to the spear, or if you miss the spear. Like, if you hit a lizard head instead of their body. That's pretty good. There are decent ways to move while you're tired out. Okay, I almost got through this room cleanly. But like Gourmand's like tech would have been a lot more fun without the stamina. Because when I was recording the Gourmand video where I messed around with singularities, it took forever. It took forever to like, first of all, to make all the singularity bombs, because I had to wait for the karma flowers to respawn, because the only crafting recipe I knew involved using 2 karma flowers per bomb. So that took forever. The roll doesn't use stamina, unless you jump out of it. That's like, when people do slides and rolls as Gourmand, if they jump out of him at the end, then it uses a lot of stamina. But if you don't, if you just slide repeatedly like this, if you do that as Gourmand, then it's really stamina efficient. Wait, what am I doing? I think I want to go this way. Yes. Kind of forgot the route. So for the Gourmand video, right? It took forever to create all the singularity bombs, and then having to travel to the different parts of the map where I wanted to use them, it actually took forever. No, it didn't take forever. It took a very long time, and like, I don't usually use passages when I'm playing Rain World. I find movement really fun. So, you know, as any other slugcat, I'd rather like travel through the regions without using passages. So because the movement's fine, it doesn't take too long if you know the optimal routes. But with Gourmand, like, I've never wanted to have infinite passages. More. Because like going from industrial to the top of 5 pebbles, it's like that's already like fairly difficult. But most of the slugcats, you know, you can optimize that route and do it fairly quickly. And it's not too bad once you get used to it, but it's very difficult as Gourmand. Dealing with multiple lizards is very rough because, you know, your spear does a lot of damage. So you can one-shot pretty much every lizard if you hit your spear throw and you have good aim. But once you deal with one lizard, you know, especially when dealing with orange lizards or that one room with a ton of white lizards, you know, even if you can deal with one lizard really easily, there's still like 4 more that are probably chasing you, and now you're at low stamina. So, you know, combat against a lot of different creatures at once, it's not very good. And plus your mobility is so bad that it's like just trying to outrun all the lizards is even more difficult. By the way, for these jumps that I'm doing right now, if you want to get to the extra height from the yeek, you need to make sure to stop holding down the down key, or just stop holding downwards, because you need to hold downwards to start rolling, but you need to let go of it before you do another jump, or else you're not going to get the extra height. And if you don't get enough height, you might get stuck in the worm grass. Which is actually kind of helpful. Sometimes if you don't want the extra height from the jump, you can hold downwards and you will do a normal jump. Although that might have problems with like crouching instead. Shoot, spoilers, yes. Always keep in mind that like pretty much any Saint video is going to be very spoiler heavy. Although it's not too bad for these first few areas. They're basically just like snowy versions of regions that we're already familiar with. So do I already... So I believe I want to stay in this shelter. It's actually a decent time save to not eat these fruit and to wait until you go into a shelter so that you eat them automatically, because they take quite a long time to eat normally. Which is the worst one to speedrun? Probably the Artificer or Spearmaster. Like Gourmand, actually, I don't think it's that bad. Like if you can deal with their stamina, it's like it's pretty much the. Oh, this one sounds different. You go to 5 pebbles and then you go to Outer Expanse, right? I haven't attempted it. I haven't attempted one of those runs, but I feel like it wouldn't be that bad since the creature spawns are kind of a mix between Survivor and Hunter. So it's not horrible. Artificer, however, you have to deal. Mostly it's Karma that I have a problem with, and the final boss, if you can call it a boss. That's pretty loose. But the final boss is like kind of RNG, whether you might just die instantly and have to retry it multiple times, and then also having to find scavengers every time you want to go through a gate is quite annoying. And also it's RNG whether the scavengers have enough karma to go through a gate. And then also just dealing with scavengers and like difficult creature spawns, you know. Of course that's going to make the speedrun more difficult. And Spearmaster might even be worse because, yeah, you still have to deal with very difficult creature spawns while going through some very difficult regions like Precipice, which I'm pretty sure is the fastest route for Spearmaster. These spiders are really making this difficult. But Spearmaster doesn't have any mobility, any like extra mobility compared to Artificer or like Rivulet. So, you know, just like fighting the difficult creature spawns is even more difficult. Like you can create extra spears, but you're pretty much always gonna have to deal with like a ton of king vultures and leaf lizards, white lizards, dropwigs, while holding onto a pearl. So you can only hold on to like one spear. My strategy when I did the Spearmaster speedrun was to use, hey, that was a water hop. Was to hold on to a grapple worm, because I went through Underhang, and a king vulture mask, and I could not use spears. But in that run, it was significantly easier because I used passages to carry the pearl around. I didn't actually have to hold on to it. I just used passages at the very end. So I used the remix option that lets you passage with key items, such as pearls, as well as karma caching. So if you couldn't karma cache or bring the pearl with you via passaging, then that run would be very difficult. If you don't want to go through Precipice, the alternative is, please don't. That's wonderful. The alternative is going through Garbage Waste, which would be awful. Well, actually, all extra routes would probably involve going through struts, like the leg for Moon, and that whole like Moon underhang section. So, which is like much slower than just going through Precipice, even though it has more difficult spawns. It's like neither option for Spearmaster is good at all. Like the best you can hope for is that you hold onto a vulture mask and hope that you don't run into too many like vultures, because you'll be fine against lizards if you're fast enough. Sometimes sleep lizards can still catch up to you once they're stops being scared of you. With Pearl and a grapple worm, yeah, if you do that, then you have no... Like, you can move around in an area that's already very difficult to move around in, even with the grapple worm. Plus, you can't hold on to anything else to defend yourself or to scare away lizards. I'm just gonna grab this echo down here. Go through that gate again. Oh yeah, I should leave. So after this, I'm going to stay in the shelter and filtration system, then head up to the undergrowth echo, then head over to shoreline and try not to die to snails. "24 deaths, 3 outside of Underhang." The average. Well, that's actually like pretty good. You know, I was talking about this thing where you can spin around when you're grappling. If you do a backflip. Oh right, the other way. I always forget to do this. You're supposed to go this way. But if you do a backflip before you start grappling, you can stay, it keeps on spinning in the air. And I said that it's not actually that useful. It's just like, it just looks funny. But I think it is actually like somewhat useful in some scenarios. Because while you're in the backflip state, you are able to throw items up and down, which isn't actually that useful as Saints, because they can't throw spears, right? You can't take advantage of throwing spears down at creatures, but you can throw stuff down. So it sometimes is useful. Actually, I don't even know if that's much faster. I really don't like that orange lizard. It's just gonna drop that centipede. Oh dear. Okay, it lost interest. Also in expedition mode, Saint is able to... That's Yeek. I thought that was a white lizard. In expedition mode, Saint is able to throw spears, so it is somewhat useful. I'll actually waste a little bit of time showing this off. So if you do a backflip, I'm still in the backflip state, which means I'm able to throw this rock downwards. It's a little... Ow. So these cherry bombs are actually very effective against centipedes if you want to get past them easily. That's a mold, is it? So now I want to stay in this shelter down here. Why it's called Change of Hearts, yes. Well, in that challenge, in that mission, you're supposed to use the gun. But I actually found that the gun was kind of made it more difficult. Maybe it was probably a bug, but if I used a spore puff in the gun to kill centipedes, it did not count as my kill. So I did not get points from it. So, you know, I thought my main strategy would be use like flashbangs and spore puffs, load those into the gun, and use those to kill like insects mostly, centipedes and spiders, and like dropwigs, whatever else. But they didn't count for some reason. This is a predicament. So I ended up just using an electric spear. There's a perk to get one of those, and you know, even though you don't do much damage, the stun from the spear was enough to get a decent amount of kills. Do you wanna move me? There's that explosion coming in handy, because I think they did grab onto me for a second. So now where am I going? The wrong way. I'm going the wrong way. I want to go to drainage, which is I get there through filtration. It's actually get past the centipede again. That's wonderful. Centipedes have a harder time detecting you when you're crouching. Okay, I actually... Wow, I was right next to that lizard. I do have a light, so I will use it in the dark area. You know, I thought that maybe I'd have to worry about time. That's why I went the wrong direction for a while, but everywhere I'm going is going to be underground, so I don't have to worry about the cold or the snow. I won't have to for a while until I get to shoreline. So yes, I wanted to go up here. This is the same route that I took the last speedrun that I did, but that wasn't the true ending. I did not go to the iterators at the end. So there's going to be slight differences around the end, but I'm also wondering, you know, if there could be a major difference in the route, because you don't have to go to the iterators. Maybe you could get the ones around 5 Pebbles and Moon a lot earlier, and like finish off around Subterranean. I did get the farm race echo. I thought that I might have. A second, I forgot. It's funny you say that because you actually have to go through filtration without any light source in the survivor speedruns. So it just takes extra time to get a neuron, and it's RNG whether you like run into a lantern or not. So you usually just have to go through that area completely blind, which doesn't matter. Like, you can memorize the room layout, which I've done for some routes. You know, I can navigate it in the dark, but the real problem is that you aren't able to see any mole lizards, so you might just run into one and die. You can't do anything about it. I mean, sometimes you can like throw a rock or something. I don't like these spiders, but I'm holding onto a lantern, so I'm a little bit protected. Yeah, you can just kind of run past them sometimes. I'm pretty sure that if I didn't have a light source, they probably would have killed me there. But even if you do have a light, they become aggressive eventually. Hit for this jump. Do that. As long as you line yourself directly underneath it, you'll be able to just jump straight up, grapple while holding upwards. Moles do glow slightly, but like that's only if they've like heard something. And kind of like I don't know, if they notice something, they'll light up for a moment. But when they're just walking around normally, they're completely dark. So you could throw a rock so that they all glow up. They all light up and you'll be able to see them. But there's like one tunnel that you have to go through in one of the rooms in filtration. I don't like these scavengers. What's even worse is if the scavengers if they're already in this tunnel when you're trying to get through the first time, then they can really block your progress. That guy's spears just fell through the floor. Please don't attack me. I think that scavengers have neutral reputation with the Saints. Same as Survivor. So some of them might be aggressive, and most of them aren't. I don't like the centipede. Do you want to deal with it? That got him through. Usually centipedes don't really care about rocks if you throw them. And then, well, they continue to not care about these rocks, so I think it's true. This is a fun part of the run where you have to deal with mirrorless birds. Like, isn't actually that big of a problem. Honestly, the scavengers here are a little bit worse. I do need food. Excuse me. Funny thing about mirrorless birds is that they don't like to turn around. So it notices that I'm here, but it's still moving in the same direction. It almost grabbed me, actually. Thought I'd be fast enough to just completely get past it. Excuse me. What is your plan here? Guess they're just gonna have to wait for this guy to pass. I think that's a scat. No, that's a lantern glass. If you want to grab that, I wouldn't mind. Well, I'm not gonna risk it. The Saint dies to everything pretty easily. So, you know, there's usually the small centipedes aren't very aggressive. but there's a chance that it could have killed me anyway. I'd rather not risk it. Sizable centipede. I guess I'm holding on. Well, here's another. This centipede definitely can kill me. Holding on to this cherry bomb just in case. Okay, there's two of them. I'd like to move out of the way, thank you. You could probably keep that momentum going all the way through this room. You'd have to be really precise with your jumps. Did not mean to do that. I don't know if throwing cherry bombs affects monster kelp at all. Hopefully it does, just in case. So I think I'm going to shelter here. Yeah, so that shoreline isn't too bad. And also because there's a decent chance I die to snails. There's always something out to get you. So I've learned something from my last attempts as the Saint, which is snails are very irritated by jetfish. If you swim past them with a jetfish, they're very likely to pop immediately. Even though you can usually swim past them, as long as you're quick about it, you can get past without them popping. Which matters a lot more as the Saint, because it's pretty much an insta-kill if you're underwater. You'll become stunned and it's very easy to drown. So, you know, using a jetfish would let you get through these areas. Hello, jump. It would let you get through these areas faster, but at the cost of potentially dying. Although you could just drop the jetfish once you get close to where all the snails like to pile up. So I don't drown here. So I'll try that, actually. These kind of rooms will be faster. But it's jetfish makes that kind of movement more difficult, and the snails are at the end of this room. I could probably make it to this shelter. Oh, great. There's usually a lot of snails here, but I actually don't see any. One of the few moments where you actually see a creature collecting food that isn't another creature. Geeks like to do that too in Outer Expanse. I'm going to grab these bubble fruit. I don't know where else I'm going to get food. So I would like to stay in a shelter before I get to Moon. That'd probably be optimal to instead of staying in that earlier shelter, go all the way to how did I do this last time? Actually, I think I did stay in this shelter, right? Except that might have just been because it was closer to pebbles. I will stay in here again. You should probably make it all the way here from filtration, but it's also kind of risky. So I'll be heading to Moon now. This is pretty much the only part where this run is different. It's the right way. Yes, there's a jellyfish in this room, so I have to be careful about that. Not too bad though. I could probably grapple instead of going through that pipe. if I can jump out of the water easily. So yeah, usually I would go to Pebbles right here, so I wouldn't have to make the return trip, but I want to get to Pebbles as the last, or the Echo next to Pebbles as the last one. So I'll be going over here instead. Forgot that I can't hold on to bubble fruit going underwater. These kinds of rooms would probably be a lot faster with jetfish, although I don't even know if any of them show up here. Maybe they're only in the underground areas. Something interesting that I learned from having the breath meter on is that you regain air very quickly once you reach the surface. It's only if you drop very low and then return to the surface, it refills pretty slowly. But if you've only lost 2 air picks, they come back pretty quickly, enough for you to immediately start swimming again. Also, if you want to pass jellyfish easily, just have to do that. You don't really have to worry about the tentacles. I don't think they can grab you even. They haven't felt like a problem. The only time the jellyfish tentacles have actually grabbed me is when I was playing as the monk. Maybe the monk just kind of sucks. Or maybe I've just gotten lucky as the other characters. I've died to jellyfish as monk multiple times, but never by being grabbed as the other slugcats. Yeah, rivulets can drown. They have the same breath mechanics as the other slugcats. It's just that it's much longer. I think it's 40 seconds. You can stay underwater for almost a minute. Also, the rain. I don't even know if the pre-cycle rain, if you can drown in that. You can stand in it and you won't die, but it pushes you down very quickly, so you can die to fall damage. Fall damage isn't based on the heights that you fall; it's based on the speed at which you hit the ground, or any surface actually. But I think it's more. It might change depending on which direction you're moving. I don't know. I know that if you slam into walls hard enough, you can die. So. That can happen mostly because of rain as the rivulets. But I feel like the heavy rain doesn't last long enough for you to drown in it. Especially as rivulets. I really need to figure out a better way to do this room. Maybe I guess a bunch of throw boosting, kind of like the depth. Okay, maybe that's a little too fast. That would have been a better place to use it. You might even be able to hurt yourself. That's the saint. You grapple and then swing yourself into a wall too fast. Areas like this where having the lantern really helps. It's just a long walk that you have to make while it's snowing. I mean, I think if you stay in one of Moon's shelters, you'll have enough time to get here before it snows. But I came here from that other shelter deeper into Shoreline. Bitter area feels underutilized, I guess. It's actually a fairly large area, but it's possible to go there to Moon in like a few minutes. And it's pretty much only accessible by Rivulet and Saint, I believe. You can go there as Saint. There's an Echo, actually. But it takes very long, and you have to go through some pretty difficult underwater sections. Which is pretty much only possible if you have Saint's ability, since it lets you breathe underwater. And swim much faster, much like the rare factions so. I think there's a shortcut to get to Bitter Area instead of going through the hearts, like Rivulet has to. I mean, the Echo dialogue is a little bit goofy. Like all the other Echoes during the Saints campaign have something fairly interesting to say, and then this Echo's just like, wow, congratulations. I feel like a Echo that's tucked away that in a difficult to reach area would have like the most interesting thing to say, or the most like lore important secret to reveal, but just he basically just says, wow, congratulations, it is difficult to get here. You know, it's probably possible to get there as the other slugcats. You can make it into Submerged Superstructure as like the monk, for example. There's a glitch that lets you grab onto an item and a two-handed item, it's like a jetfish. You could probably hold onto a jetfish, a bubbleweed, and swim your way up through the hearts. That might let you get to a Bitter Area. Although that doesn't seem intended, so I don't know if it would actually work. And there's not really a reason to go there. I kind of wish there was a Bitter Area equivalent of Metropolis for the Saint. Because the gate that... Hello. Okay. I pressed the throw button, like, just a bit too late. So we're going back through there again. Also, I realized I do actually need to get food. Actually, there's an area with a bunch of mold. Slime mold. Yeah, it'd be cool to see Metropolis in a state similar to... Oh, sucks for you. In a state similar to Bitter Area. Just to kind of go there as any other slugcat, because Metropolis, you know, you can only visit as Artificer when it's full of scavengers. And then after that point, you don't really get to see what the state of it is. I think it'd be cool to see what used to be such an active, like, city, even though it's not occupied by the Ancients anymore, but it's still pretty active with all the lizards and scavengers and such. But after, like, by the time you get to the Saint, it's probably just completely empty. That'd be cool to see. I mean, there's probably, like, Miros vultures. There's plenty of those in Bitter Area. They like those, like, high elevation, cold places. Although, like, Chimney Canopy is probably higher than Metropolis is now. Wow, a spear. How useful. Well, spears aren't completely useless. You can use them for extended slides. Oh yeah, there's like plenty of food here. I mean, I could have grabbed any of those other fruit or slime mold. I missed a few chat messages talking about the cloak. I did actually get that. I wasn't on stream, but I did get the cloak as the monk. I kind of got stuck for a long time. It's one area that's quite difficult to swim past, and that's where I died to I died to the jellyfish a lot. If you want, you can just passage out with the cloak. It counts as a key item, so you can passage with it. Feels like the only blue lizard in all of Saints campaign. So I actually don't know which shelter to stay in. I'm not really familiar with the layout of this area outside of the routes that like the route from here to Powell's or the Echo. There might not be a good shelter along the way. So I know there's one room, like, actually I'm gonna take the shelter that's kind of closer to the Echo. So that way I can just just stop by Pebbles for a bit on my way out of this region. Also, there can be Murus birds here. Fun fact. You can climb up these poles to avoid them. Also, this is another area that's very difficult to navigate without a lantern. Long stretch of area that's exposed to the wind or to the snow. So it actually looked like the snow picked up once I entered this room, even though it wasn't that bad previously. So it might be like always high intensity snow once you reach this room. Also, this area can be a little bit annoying to navigate if you're holding up the whole time, because you'll automatically grab onto poles. So it's easier to not hold any movement keys at all and just spam jump. There's a shelter right here, enough food, and a karma flower just in case you need it. I hear a spider. Yes, there are spiders. There are a lot of spiders. So it doesn't look like this area is always snowing. As long as you get here early. Or maybe if you enter this area from the left side, it starts snowing immediately. But if you're already starting... If you're already starting here, it doesn't matter. Let's not die here. I believe it's faster to go this way. We have to stay here for long enough for the dialogue to activate. See ya. And we have ascended. We have awakened. Ascended is a very different thing. So now this run is interesting. You spend a lot more time awakened because it used to be for the other run where you don't go to the iterators, you pretty much start right, like next to shoreline, right? So you just go through shoreline, then subterranean, and Rubicon, I guess. It's where you use the ability a lot more, but now I actually get to navigate through at least this region. So I think movement is actually quite interesting because there's a bit of like, you kind of have to manage your like time with the flights. Actually, I should use it here. So you swim a lot faster. But it's actually like, flying isn't that fast. I don't think it's any faster than just walking. So any movement tech is immediately faster than flying, but it's faster to go through water and when moving vertically. So if you didn't know, there's a secret tunnel right here, which is a nice shortcut to get to 5 pebbles. I guess this whole area is 5 pebbles, right? I still like doing this is faster than flying. You don't get stuck. Also, this room, I'm actually not going to use the flight ability here because it's possible to either do this. Yes. If you want to get up here before getting flight, you can just do that. Although, if you haven't already gotten flights, like, there's not really a reason to see pebbles, unless it's your first playthrough, at which point you probably wouldn't be coming in from this direction. It's so sad that 5 pebbles died of Ligma. If I need food, take 1. So the ascension ability is kind of interesting. It's like not really time optimal. If there's a creature in your way, it takes quite a long time to start flying and line up the ability. And then, I mean, the creature's still there. You have to move them out of the way if they're like in a tunnel or something. That's a spider. And most of the time, it's still better to just avoid creatures entirely. Although if it's really a problem, then it can come in handy. But it's not as useful as holding onto a spear in most scenarios. Unless it's a creature that you wouldn't be able to kill otherwise. Like a... I want to go down here. Like a Leviathan. Or a vulture. Well, Saints can't use spears. So anything is helpful. Nice tunnel movement. Gonna move out of the way. It looks like they can actually hear the activation. Oh, there's multiple. I thought there was only... Well, I guess it makes sense that there's multiple. I think this is actually a good area to use this because there's these tunnels that kind of keep moving down. Well, looks like I didn't need to move them out of the way anyway. But they could have fallen down one of those extra tunnels in case I got stuck there. But you can actually activate flights when you're in a tunnel. You just need to hold down and jump. It makes you kind of fall down the tunnel. And in that state, you're considered to be in free fall, which lets you activate flight. In those kind of scenarios. So from here, I'm not exactly sure what to do. Because I need to go to Moon. But it might be very cold by the time I get there. Although the flight does make crossing the water a lot faster. I still don't know how to do that consistently. Where you kind of like slingshot yourself forward with the tongue. It feels like, you know, sometimes like maybe it's like very precise timing or distance spacing. If you're just far enough away so that the tongue just barely starts to retract by the time it hits the wall, it'll kind of get flung forward. Nope, like to activate it. So while you're flying underwater, you don't lose any air at all. You can stay for the duration of the flight ability. It's already quite a lot of snow, so I think I will stay in a shelter first. If there's the shelter, well, actually I don't know. I guess I know which shelter to stay in. Also, I could have been doing this. I wonder, for 5 pebbles, right? As the survivor, if you go to 5 pebbles, and it gives you the mark. It just fly. So it's a little bit hard to activate, grabbing onto stuff. As a survivor, if you go to see 5 pebbles, okay, I almost died of fall damage there, and it gives you the mark, you can exit out of the game, and you will still have the mark. That's the kind of stuff saves immediately the moment you get it. I kind of wonder if it's the same with the iterators. Like, could you ascend pebbles and then save and exit and start in a shelter so you don't have to backtrack? Although that wouldn't work with the shelter that I took. But if I, you know, staying in this shelter, if I headed over to Moon, ascended her, and then exited out, would that save and still count as the true ending technically? Even if you die, that should be the same as like just exiting out, right? Let's try not to die to an off-screen Leviathan here, or jellyfish. That kind of movement's a lot faster, although I pretty much have to not use flight at all in this whole sequence. So that I have it recharged so that I can go back through that open water area faster. Okay, very optimal movement here. But you can just kind of correct your mistakes with that. A little bit powerful. I feel like there's a little bit of RNG in this sequence, based on the timing of the anti-gravity. To be faster in some areas with the gravity off, or gravity on normally, because you kind of are a bit floaty. I'm still going to go back normally. It's interesting how the iterators don't even notice that you're about to ascend them. Kind of wish there was like just a moment's move. Maybe they detected that you were a possible solution, or maybe like understand just for a second what you're about to do to them, but they just seem to like not notice at all. Just talk normally. Because Moon comments on how you are more attuned than the average slugcat, or maybe average creature at all. Like by what method have you achieved such attunement? But then she I don't think she has any different dialogue if you have max karma. No, I like that other one. At this point, it would probably be faster just to make it all the way down to Rubicon. But I'm going to stay in another shelter. Probably the one... There's one around here. Or maybe the one right at the entrance of Subterranean. I don't know. I don't want to risk dying to a snail. Which way am I going? The right way. I forgot, because I have this ability now, so I can cross that the underwater section that I skipped last time. So I can go through here. Luckily that centipede always seems to be doing something over there. That is dangerous. So I'm going to risk just heading back normally. I didn't really want to test this, but now we are. We'll see if the me ascending moon has saved. Oh, I want to grab multiple. So even though I was quite far away from that snail, and almost all the way to the surface of the water, I still died to that. Just to give an idea of how dangerous they can be. I don't even think you're like capable of breathing. Even if you make it to the surface of the water, you'll still end up drowning. So I was just kind of going through that area as fast as possible without checking for anything in the way. Oh, the karma flowers are all the way back here. Centipede? Not a problem. Except there's nothing in the way this time. Sometimes I like to pile up in this tunnel right here. Not a problem this time. Probably a little bit of optimization you could do with the flight here, saving it for some underwater sections while skipping others. I'm not going to be the one to optimize it. Just use it whenever it's convenient. This area can also be dangerous. Kind of like to see like a modded version of the Saints campaign where where all the hostile creatures are replaced by like random stuff like squidcadas and snails and jetfish, like things that would normally be harmless, but things that could actually kill the Saints. It's interesting how that underwater section usually is like completely not a problem at all. Like you can drown, but if you use a jetfish, it's not really a problem. Or if you have a bubble weed, but it's actually like a very threatening area as the Saint. So seeing that kind of thing happen to the entire map could be interesting. So since I already got Moon, I'm not gonna shelter here. It's an unlock I continue to not get. Those are still the threat of centipedes. You can also maintain the pounce state. Because I didn't really need to risk falling down there. I just flown over. Probably the next dangerous area of the run, where there's a bunch of mirror spirits or centipedes around the exit to this room. I usually prefer to go this top route and falling down the end. Ooh, I think there's a red centipede. Yes. I'd like you to come into this room, play with this lizard. That was very close. Unintentionally. I mean, I wouldn't intentionally get close to something. Could get close to dying. I don't want to go that way. That's just a more difficult route through filtration. I got food already. Hello, spiders. I guess singular. Actually, a spider's kind of helpful here because you can go through pipes a lot faster. Nice aim. Kind of interesting how some creatures, like spitter spiders, have a seemingly like endless resource. Like they can spit those projectiles at you just like constantly. It's not like it's like something that's valuable that like costs them a lot of energy to create. No, they just like keep doing it until they hit you. So I'm going to ideally I would get through here without dying at all, since there's a save when entering Rubicon. Oh yeah, this area is pretty spoiler heavy, just for Saints, if for whatever reason you're still watching and you care about spoilers, but yes, this is your last chance to leave, if that's the case. There was a centipede in there. Hope it didn't. I'm going to look at the map for a second because I have yet to figure out, or I've yet to memorize the routes through this area. Okay. I'll I don't have to check the map too many times. Also, I don't know if I will stay in a shelter. I mean, ideally, I would not die and just make it through the whole thing in one cycle. I think it's possible. Like, most of the length of this area is getting lost and wandering around aimlessly. If I take a optimal route through, I shouldn't have to. Also, I'd like to preserve my flight ability as much as possible, considering that you do have to use it quite a bit, either to get past difficult creatures or for the guardians. YouTube took the spoiler alert seriously. He said, nope, we're not going to spoil any of you. I hope it's back up and working again. It's just a little bit dangerous to go into that room there, since there's immediately, you're immediately surrounded by lizards, but it's also not great to go the other way because of the leaf lizard and, although I would like to grab onto anything. Okay, that wasn't great. It's just a little bit dark. I couldn't see what I was grabbing onto. So there are two main ways to go through Rubicon. There's kind of like a left and right route. I'm going to be taking the right route because it is what I'm more familiar with. Although I have heard that the left route is faster, and I have no idea which one's actually the best way to go. But I know that actually I think they're both filled with Miros vultures, so there's not really an optimal way in terms of like difficulty. You're going to have to deal with Miros vultures at all, regardless of which way you go. And even though you were able to fly, they are still quite difficult to deal with. Although I do not appreciate you guys. Okay, yeah, I wanted to do an extended slide there, but that one block said no. But those like left and right routes, there's not an entrance that way. Those aren't until a little bit later. There's like a bunch of winding paths in this starting area too. Hello, wonderful creature. I believe I want to go this way. I have no idea where I am. Is there a way to go this way? No. I thought I saw something on the map for some reason. This is not going to be a clean Rubicon run at all. Just keep that in mind. I'm probably going to do another stream later this week. Just practicing Rubicon a whole lot. Because I do enjoy the Saint. This is the useless room, isn't it? I really do enjoy the rest of the Saints speedrun, and it'd suck if I never got to complete runs because of Rubicon, or if I never enjoyed completing runs because of Rubicons. So I'd rather just like, goodness, I'd rather just like get used to it, and you know, if I can find a way to do it really easily, then I won't have to like worry about it being a problem for my runs in the future. I still don't like Rubicon in terms of like the first player experience, because my first time through Rubicon was like pretty much the worst possible way you could play it. I don't want to go that way. I went all the way up the right route, and then I went all the way to the left, then all the way down, back to the start, back up that route. Can I go down here? Yes. all the way back down the left route, then back up and the long way to the end. So like I took the swarm grass. So I took like the longest possible routes through Rubicon. It was only until recently that I learned that once you reach that one room that looks like underhang, you can just like go through one pipe and it brings you to the ending area. Because alternative, I thought the only other way to go would be to go through okay, I just didn't do a pounce there. Don't know what other way would be to go through the rooms that look like memory crypts. Actually don't need food at all, really. Although, yeah, there's a shelter here. Which is probably worth it considering the time. Well, I think the Guardians are just doing their jobs, right? They're just guarding the depths, the Rubicon. It's hard to understand exactly what the Rubicon is, though. Is it a real place or is it some kind of illusion? Because it has these kind of like twisted versions of other regions in the game that are mirrored and like warped. So it's hard to tell if this is an actual like physical location, if it's just some kind of like weird creation that happened because of the Saints like attunement. I don't know. But the Guardians, you know, they're just guarding this area, so maybe they know what the Saint will do and they're trying to prevent that. Oh, hold up. Is this the right room? I didn't realize that this was the room that you can only go through one way. And if I had known that, I probably would have taken the left route. I saw that on the map and I was like, wow, this is such an easy way to get through this area. But no, you still have to go all the way around these rooms. I think the other way is definitely faster, although I will probably try that out next run. I believe it is faster to go this way. Yeah, it's a bit strange. Like, here's some spears and bombs that you can use to fight some creatures. By the way, you also have the ability to just immediately just like delete them if you want. Can I actually escape? Come on, man. Ah. That's unfortunate. That one tentacle that's reaching all the way down. I should probably be a lot more careful in that room instead of swinging all over the place. This is a funny room. Put cicada everywhere because they can actually kill you or maybe injure you. But taking that like garbage waste room is actually worth it, I think. It's a decent shortcut. This route might be faster since it avoids fighting the Guardian in that other room with like the red centipede and lizard. let's just go through this carefully. Still carefully. We're safe now. Well, you're never safe in Rubicon, but safe from instant death from the walls. Oh, this is another area where you want to hold on to your flight. So you can kind of like do that to hold on to a little bit of it. I think here I just have to wait to recharge a little bit. Challenge 70 is interesting. It's not canon, definitely. As in, Saints did not show up, and oh yeah, spoilers I guess for Challenge 70, but Saints did not show up and start like having a bullet hell fight with a sliver of straw. That's not what happened. There is maybe the chance that that Saint was created by Sliver of Straw, in which case the fight isn't canon, but the rough series of events is. As in, the Silver of Straw might have fought back against the Saint in some way. Or maybe there was no fight at all and they just got ascended without the Sliver of Straw wanting to. But even then, I think that theory of like the Saint was created by Sliver of Straw and was announced as the triple affirmative, I think that's completely false, regardless of if the challenge is canon or not, right? I suppose that definitely means that the fight isn't canon. But it's not even remotely correct, because I believe that it might have been confirmed by one of the developers that Saint and Sliver of Straw are completely unrelated. It just so happens that Saint also kind of counts as a triple affirmative, maybe. I mean, even that's debatable because Saints can only ascend one creature at a time with like a decent cooldown. So like if you wanted to ascend an entire population of potentially like millions of people, it would probably take quite a long time. So maybe that's not exactly the efficient method of ascension that they desired when looking for a triple affirmative. Oh, it was just distorted. It kind of also depends on how long slugcats live, which is, it's not exactly clear because, you know, you would think that with the cycle they might live forever, right? Even if they were to die of old age, they would still be reincarnated. Because the event, like the triple affirmative happened quite a long time in the past. I went the completely wrong way. That was like way before even Spearmaster, when the triple affirmative was announced. So some like explanations is that the reason the Saint takes place so far in the future is that, you know, they just took time to travel all the way from Sliver of Straw's can to like all the other iterators. That's why it took so long. And why you can see in the background of the ending, Moon is here. Goodbye. Remember to not cancel your flight ability. It makes you swim through this area quite a bit faster. So the timer at the top of the screen has stopped, so the run is technically over. So, but I will just finish this. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say, like, is the slugcat capable of traveling between, like, most of the iterators, at least around the local group, like, within their lifespan? Is that even how it works? Because, you know, we don't see the other slugcats in, like, as the rivulets or the monk. But I think that there's a few reasons for that. Either the hunter's case, where you can see them again, but they are not alive anymore for a specific reason, or they went and ascended. Like, it's canon that they went and ascended, because you can only see the hunter's like corpse if you die to them. If you die as the hunter in a run for ascending, right? Then you can see the hunter long legs as the Gourmand. But if you don't do that, you don't see the hunter long legs. So that might suggest that you going and ascending as the hunter was canon for your playthrough. And, you know, that's the same reason you haven't seen most of the other slugcats, because they eventually ascended too. Some people say that, like, the rivulets, for example, you don't see the rivulets hanging out around Moon because, you know, they've died of old age. Which just, it doesn't make sense at all to me, because of the way that the cycle works, right? You think, like, oh, even if you die of old age, you know, you still return because of the cycle, right? Otherwise, the ancients would have just said, like, don't die normally, just, like, wait until you're old enough to, like, die naturally. That would be their method of ascension. But because of the struggles that they went through to find a solution to their great problem, that obviously wasn't the answer, just dying of old age. Or maybe it's something like, if you die of old age, you still become reincarnated just as a different body. So we wouldn't see rivulets, for example. We wouldn't see them again, but maybe some other creature or some other slugcat that we never see. Like, maybe rivulet eventually dies and lineages into, like, a blue lizard or a salamander. Also, this area is very loud. I'm going to reduce the volume of the game. This area and Moon, the area around Moon as Spearmaster, are, like, way louder than anything else in the game. I don't know why. Okay, it's just a cutscene at this point. Chat's been quite active. Not been able to read everything. Oh, the memory. You're suggesting that, like, the ancients put their memories into the memory crypts so that when they reincarnated, they weren't burdened by their memories of their past lives. Hello, Average Bird. You might not want to watch any of this. Very, very, very spoiler heavy. If you want to leave, you can return in, like, 5 minutes. I also think that the memory crypts were built so that people could not hold on to, like, lingering regrets, and, like, so that they could ascend without becoming an echo. That was one of their, like, attempts to find a solution. Like, maybe their memories of like, many lives after many cycles, you know, those, like, eventually kind of, like, burdened them such that they could not ascend, or were, like, left with regrets, which turned them into an echo at the end. So they would store their memories in the crypts so they don't have to worry about it when they go and ascend. It's kind of hard to tell what the memory crypts are exactly, though. Quite strange. Or whether they, they're just, maybe they're just for storing information. They don't have anything to do with memories, and that's just what they were called because the ancients were funny. Like, did the memory crypt like just store information, or did they literally take memories from people so that they didn't have to have memories of their many like past lives and cycles? Hoping we would meet an ancient. I would love to see that. Although it's kind of hard to tell when exactly the ancients disappeared. Because I think the pros mentioned like a final global ascension where, after waiting many cycles for the iterators to come up with a solution, they just gave up and said, all right, we're just going to go jump in the void sea. It's the only solution we know. And these iterators haven't done anything for us yet. So who knows if that's like a while before Spearmaster, on a similar length of time as like the jump between Monk and Rivulet or the Saint. Or if it was like so long in the past that that's why they're called the Ancients now. It'd be kind of strange to call them the Ancients if they've only recently disappeared. So it could have been like a very, very long time ago, even longer than the time, like the time from Spearmaster to the Saint, even longer than that in the past, where the Ancients were still around. But even like around the time when the iterators were built, like the Ancients were still like walking around on the surface. They still had to build the shelters and armor gates and the retaining walls and stuff. Also, this image is significant. This is background. Some people suggest that the Saint went and ascended the iterators, hence why they collapsed, but it might also just be like such a long time that they've just collapsed naturally, just like, well, Moon and Pebbles kind of had stuff that happened that caused them to collapse. Or it's just been so long that, there's only so long that a rarefaction spell can last. Overall decay. Stored their memories in the crypts before they decided to ascend. Yes, that's what I thought too. Also, this is ending. This Saint ending. It's quite interesting. I've heard many different interpretations. One is that the Saint has some sort of like fifth desire that prevents them from ascending, or like they wanted to return because they wanted to like continue to ascend. Either the iterators or just like random creatures. Or like because of ascending the void worm, or trying to at least, like the void worms rejected them, hence why they returned to the surface again. Or something about them just being an echo prevents them from ever being able to ascend, regardless of what they do to like the void worms or their desires or whatever. Anyway, let's do another run. Also, I think that at this point, I would appreciate it if we tone down the spoilers a little bit, in case like random people show up, or you just want to see just like the normal Saints campaign. But I do enjoy talking about the lore of this game and all the wild stuff that happens with the Saints. But yeah, no more of that. Also, I'm going to remember to actually store this lantern in my stomach, so I don't have to do it at the beginning of every single cycle. Oh, and I can increase the volume again. Hopefully I can do this run at a decent speed. I'm probably just going to take the exact same route that I did last time. Just with hopefully, I didn't mean to go down here. Hopefully a few less death and better routing. Also, someone asked me a question a while ago, and I forgot to answer it. Or I was busy with other stuff, but let me look at that now. Unless it was a really long time ago. I totally missed it. Opinions on pipe yard, that's what the question was. Pipe yard is interesting. You like first hear of it and it's like, what? A connection from Sky Islands all the way down to shoreline or filtration system? But the reason is that it's just like a massive region. It's also very confusing. Just a lot of different rooms, a lot of different routes. Wait, I just want to go down here. I also died here last time, so that's not an optimization, not a time save. Don't die there. I mean, I guess there wasn't the list there that time. That was not good movement. Probably better to just do an extended slide there. I don't know why I'm dying. Every time it's like I'm just barely too far away to grapple onto it. You're holding up when you grapple, kind of locks into like the nearest thing to grab. But I think that if you're just holding a different direction, it might just grapple out or tongue in one direction that doesn't lock onto anything. So it might sometimes just be like a little bit off when holding upwards. You would have otherwise, the grapple just fine. Probably throw boost there. I would have rather done the other type of jump there. I still don't exactly know what causes that. I actually didn't hold any movement buttons at all doing that. Just lined up the jump and spammed jump key. I wonder if there's ever a situation where getting the submerged superstructure echo would actually save time. Because it takes quite a while to get there, but you know, once you grab the echo, it's already going to be sent back to the shelter you stayed at, which might be able to bring you all the way back to Moon, which is already pretty close to where you get the rest of the echoes, right? That'd probably only be worth it if you had a route that, or if getting that echo would let you skip an echo that otherwise would take a long time to get. Like maybe the farm raised echo. Goodness, what happened here? Like the farm raised echo, you kind of don't want to go that way at all, so it's a bit of a detour to go there, but it's also maybe just as much of a detour to get the submerged superstructure at. And also, okay, I kind of forgot about this. The most important detail is that submerged superstructure is very difficult to navigate unless you already have the final, if you've already gotten the final echo flight ability. So good luck going through submerged superstructure without that. So it's probably not worth it at all. Oh, so I got lucky last time, but I really have to pay attention to the white lizard here. It's can just kind of be right in the way. Pretty easy to die to it if you're not paying attention. So I will try to pay attention. It just happened that it wasn't in the way at all last time. Excuse me. I'll also try to remember which way to go through farmers. There's also a little bit of a delay on the grapple. It's not instantaneous, so unless you try to grab onto something but you're moving too fast. White lizard is around here. I think they just went to that pipe. Or that could have been a yeek. Sometimes there's a centipede. There's the white lizard. Like, I guess it just went back in the pipe when it wasn't working. But that area can sometimes be really bad. If there's a karma lizard there, extra centipedes if that white lizard is in a bad spot. So that's actually pretty lucky. Kind of wish there was like a secret room somewhere in Farm Raids that would let you grab a few yeeks for the other slugcats. Like maybe a survivor. Because like, you know, anytime after Gourmand unlocks the gate to Outer Expanse, maybe a few yeeks could get in. They'd have to make it all the way up to Farm Raids from Outer Expanse. You know, I guess they've made it by the time you get to the Saints, but I know that's after a lot of time. It'd be cool if there's just one secret little area with a bunch of yeeks in it, and you could use it to cross the warm grass. Like I said, every time I suggest an alternative to using deer to cross the warm grass, it's ignoring the possibility of the deer just being fixed. And just using them normally without any difficulty. So I like any way that skips the deer, even if they are working properly. But right now the main problem is that they just don't work at all. With like a 50-50 chance. Hello. Okay. I thought I had a consistent strategy for that, but I guess not. Sometimes you just don't get the height you need. And all the way back here. Oh yeah, I always got these fruits, but there's a popcorn, or not a popcorn plant. You can't get popcorn plant, but there's the gooey ducks around the entrance to Subterranean. I don't usually get to hear the Sky Island straight music in these runs. If some other song is taking priority, then I just go through here too quickly to hear it. We can actually do that. I thought it wasn't possible to wall pounce there because at some point the gate stops counting as a wall. It's just sort of a barrier that you can't cross. So you can no longer wall jump on it, but I guess you can still wall pounce. That's what I tried to do last time. To grapple off of that block. To get another white lizard check. Nowhere to be seen. Guess that's what it's trying to do. Nope, I did not mean to drop it. If you hold down the grab key, you can jump without grappling. And I thought the same would apply to the yeek for some reason. If I held down that key, I would not jump with extra height, but that's not the case. Wall jumps and wall pounce. So wall jumps is when you're just like clinging onto a wall and you press the jump button. It will pretty much give you the same height as a normal jump off of the wall. A wall pounce is if you're moving into a wall with enough speed and you press the jump button, then you kind of like bounce off of it at a weird angle with some crazy speed. So like usually you need to be like quite some distance away from the wall already and some time to build up speed before you jump off of it. Or using like a pounce on the ground into a wall, then jumping right off of it. Oh, I wish he jumped out of there. Wow, that was a very quick grab. This is definitely a kind of run that you'd reset. Luckily, I think I still have enough karma to cross this gate. Actually, no, I usually stay in the gate and in the shelter before the gate, so I don't need to. This is the last cycle that I have until I have to restart. That's what I try to do every other time. That's a wall pounce, what I just did there. Because, like, when you're grappling onto something and you swing into a wall, it gives you enough speed to activate or to do a wall pounce. It's probably a fast way to go through this room. As long as you don't do that. So I'll show you a bit here in this gate. This is a normal wall jump. You can jump off of a wall. If there's two walls close enough to each other, you can like gain heights by jumping between them. This is a wall pounce. It gives you a lot more distance off of the wall. But you can only do that if you have enough speed. So I'm starting with it pounce. Wall pouncing is kind of a weird mechanic because it was in Rain World right after it released. Right after the game released, wall pouncing was a mechanic, but then it was removed in an update. So for many years you could not wall pounce in the most recent version of Rain World. But then Downpour reintroduced the mechanic, but it's a toggleable option. So if you don't want to do wall pounces, because they're actually pretty easy to do on accident, you can disable wall pounces entirely. But I like having wall pounces. Well, usually just for the rivulets, because the rivulet has enough speed and bonus like jump height, where they get a lot of extra height from wall pounces, and you can use it for some skips in a few rooms. Well, not really skips, but you can use it as a faster alternative to get through a room than if you didn't have the wall pounces enabled. But for most of the other slugcats, it isn't exactly that useful. Except for gaining height in a few rooms that are like where the walls are too far apart to do a wall jump. But usually those kind of rooms have a pole that you can climb normally. It's just that wall pouncing is like the harder alternative that's also faster. Pipeyard. I did talk about Pipeyard a little bit. Maybe you missed it, but Pipeyard is a region that connects between a lot of different regions. You can get there from Industrial, from Sky Islands, from Filtration System, and from Shoreline. I believe those are all the connections. So it's like all over the map. Pipeyard is kind of an amalgamation of all of the regions that it connects to. So the area that's next to Sky Islands, it has like actually Sky Islands is probably the least similar area. There's only a few rooms connecting to it that look similar. But the area around Industrial looks a lot like Industrial. The area next to Filtration looks a lot like Filtration. This is the wrong way. Used to doing rivulet runs. And the area that connects to Shoreline, which is its own sub-region called Sump Tunnels, that area looks like Shoreline. And all the rooms in between are kind of like mixes between those areas. So it's a very like open, like kind of maze-like region. Kind of just goes all over the place. And in like the corners of the region, you can access the gates, the connecting gates. As for my opinion of it, I don't know, because I very rarely go there. I went there one time to check it out, and then like a few other times. You see like here and there. I think it's most useful for the connection between Industrial and Sky Islands. If I'm in one of those regions and I want to get to the other, then I take the Pipeyard route. Other than that, I don't think it's that useful. Because the routes to subterranean and especially Shoreline are just kind of like difficult and time consuming, and I really just want to go to those regions. Like if I'm in Sky Islands and I want to go to Shoreline, I probably want to do some other things on the way to Shoreline instead of just going straight there. Like maybe I want to grab the Echo and Shaded, or I want to go up to 5 Pebbles first, you know? So taking the shortcut through Pipeyard is not only more difficult, but also it would probably skip over a few things that I do want to see first. Actually don't need this guy anymore for a while, so it is nice that I actually got through here, so I don't have to restart the run. Because now after staying in this gate, I will have enough karma. What's with the deer rabbits? They're called reindeer, as in like rain world reindeer. Usually you use them to cross the worm grass. The yeeks are pretty much only accessible as the saint. The yeeks show up here, and you can use and in the other area in farm areas, but you can use them to cross the worm grass, and I prefer that because the reindeer are very buggy. They don't work properly in this version of the game. So, but usually you could feed them a spore puff, those little like puffball looking things in some rooms of farm areas. You feed them those, and they will let you ride on their antlers to cross the worm grass safely. Or you can do this. I'm heading back here to grab the echo in farm raise now. Just to go through this room. It's gonna be a little bit annoying with the spiders, but usually you're moving fast enough to not have to worry about them. Or hopefully you're moving fast enough. Unfortunately, I actually did get hit by that. So I will hide in this area. Hopefully they don't chase after me. Somehow I'm still able to hold onto this guy while paralyzed. But I'm safe. How many times do I have to talk about pipe yard? I like the connection from industrial to Sky Islands, otherwise I don't think it's that useful. Also, the music's pretty good. Wow, that was interesting. Somehow this guy is not dying to the wormgrass, despite being stretched out 5 times his length. Like usually they would die in that situation, but also for some reason they're being grabbed when they usually are able to escape quite easily. Strange eek behavior. Anyway, the next room is the last area. I'm going to need this guy. Hopefully this centipede doesn't chase after me. Or this other centipede. Oh, large centipede. Even better. I don't know what you're referring to. I'm pretty much just repeating the same thing about pipe yard, unless you're asking a different question that I missed. Yeah, we can actually continue this run like normal, instead of dying repeatedly to wormgrass. Except I'm just going to be grabbing this echo. I think Pipeyard has a similar problem to some modded regions where they connect regions that don't need connections. Like, oh, going from, like, if you're an industrial and you want to go down to shoreline, you don't go through Pipeyard, you go through shaded. Like, there's already a connection there, and it's less difficult. Same with modded regions. They are either like completely pointless to go through. I mean, other than whatever you might find in the region, but they don't really connect to another region. Or they connect to regions that don't need a connection either. Like Pipeyard is kind of like, oh wow, I have a connection from garbage waste to, I don't even know. There's like, all the regions are pretty well connected. And anything other than that would be like a massive shortcut that would have to. And like some of Pipeyard's connections are massive shortcuts, like going from Sky Islands to Shoreline. But it's like such a big shortcut that they had to make up for the region being big and confusing and difficult, especially the sump tunnels. Can be rough if you're not rivulet or monk with the extended breath. I want to give these guys some of these fruits because they increase their reputation. They like these. Not gonna pick those up. Okay, what is up with that? Sometimes these cherry bombs can be really helpful in getting through rooms that are a bit more chaotic. Just throw a cherry bomb in as a distraction. I'm not a fan of anything that's going on right now. There's spiders, there's a red centipede. Why does it have to be a red centipede? That's the one area I'm trying to go to. Yeah, come up here. I guess I just have to wait for the centipede to move out of the way. There's no way I'm gonna get through this otherwise. Damn, I didn't know that spiders could release themselves like that. Oh, it looks like there's an opportunity. And also I can use the spider to do this. For some reason. You just move a lot faster. There's a few small optimizations you can do in shelters because there are times where you can do things that stop your movement without slowing you down. Like eating food or putting stuff in or out of your stomach. If you do it in a shelter, you're not really losing any time because you would just be standing there anyway. think they left. I threw the lantern not knowing which was my throwing hand. Tried to throw a rock at them. There's actually a few options when routing this left side of the map, because if you want, you can stay closer to, you like head down to outskirts. Do the same thing in Chimney Canopy and Sky Islands, right? Get those echoes. But then go to outskirts, or like the gate to outskirts from farm raise, because that way you can get the farm raise echo and then the Sky Islands echo. But once you get the Sky Islands echo, it'll warp you back to the outskirts gate, right? Which should get you pretty close to this echo that I'm heading to right now. Also be careful about the scalp. And then that would leave you in outskirts, which you could then go to industrial and shaded to get the other two echoes that you have left. What was that spider doing? Music's dying. Hello, spider. Thank you. Please move out of the way. Is it dying? I don't know what's going on. Even if I did have a spear, it would just kill the spider and I would deal with the cold SCP. But I feel like subterranean is like still really fast to navigate through. Because it gives you a lot of space to... Am I just gonna be stuck here? It gives you a lot of space to swing around in and to do it like then it slides, so it's probably faster than going through farm race. I don't know. And regardless of which route you take, you still are going to have to go through the worm grass. I think this like spider is disabled or like injured in some way, so it's not really moving. I guess like even if I managed to kill it, it would make everything worse. But it doesn't seem to be able to move through pipes either. This is like the one way I have to go to get the echo. I guess there's that pipe up there, but I have no idea how to get there. This is the only route I've ever taken to get to this echo. Can't throw spears. Can't do anything. You know, if I can like get a pipe boost, it'll give me enough speed to pass it. Oh, this is the standard run, everyone. We're just going to be stuck in here forever. This is That feels like a soft block. Like, is there actually any way to go through this tunnel? Other than like staying in a shelter and just restarting the cycle? Green spider too fat. I guess like the only option I have is to kill it with rocks eventually. Then I'm just gonna die and instantly to escapees. Kind of looks like I can almost make it with a pipe boost. Not quite. The cycle's never gonna end either. Usually you're able to pass creatures in pipes if you're moving fast enough. But I guess not if they're too large. I don't even know like the rest of... Wait, I can't go here. I don't even know what the rest of this region looks like, so I don't even know where an alternative route might be. Because there is that other... Unless like from here. Because there's that pipe up there, right? But I have no idea where that would connect to. Devs, please fix. Your game's broken. This is the same route that I would always take through drainage, and then that's just the way to the shelter. Maybe if there's a secret pipe in this room. This is just the gate. Hey, Droplet, you wanna follow me and get a spider? There's still a quite complicated. So the alternative, going all the way through drainage system, the whole thing. I don't have a time limit, so it's not that big of a problem. I don't know if I've ever gone through here. I really spent too much time in this region. Either I usually just grab the echo and leave immediately. That's a Okay, I don't know how I didn't die there. Hello, red centipede. Okay, we are just reached. It probably would have just been faster to just die the moment the green spider got in the way. We're doing that whole thing over again. You know, when doing a second run, you usually think that you would do it a little faster than your previous attempts. Not in Rain World. We don't do that here. And also it probably means I have to end the stream before I get to Rubicon. I usually don't have a problem with a spider getting in the way like that. Well, now there's a different spider in the way. Please don't move up. Or is it this tunnel? Okay, just kept going up. Did it grab something? Where did the lantern go? Spiders are so bizarre. I mean, maybe it might just be red spiders that do that, because usually the other kind of spiders just grab onto you, but they don't bite you, unless they're doing like attack. Because there's quite a big telegraph on when they're actually about to attack you, but not the red spiders. They just kind of kill you. I think I'll end the stream maybe when I get ascended or awakened. What is it called? Whatever happens when you get all the echoes, I will end the stream there. We'll have plenty of time to go through Rubicon later this week. That I wanted to take if there wasn't a spider in the way. In both cycles, this and the last one, or both the last cycles where there was a spider that ended the run, ended the cycle. Funny how you could just do that back and forth. Probably indefinitely if you're good at it. Or I guess until the shelter or the gate's closed. Alright, will there be a spider in the way? The answer is yes, there's always spiders in the way, but will it be really in the way, or will there be some way to go around it? See, right there what happened is the spider grabbed onto me, but it eventually just lets go. Or I was moving fast enough to... Did they just go back into the area that... Oh, they weren't getting it stuck. And why that other spider get stuck last time? It kind of seemed like they just disappeared completely. Is that what's supposed to happen? Any creature that enters this area just disappears? Did it make sense since they wouldn't be in the way when going through the echo? Why didn't it happen last time? Hopefully the second half of this run is going to be better at least. Also, I found out that that other pipe that you can use to enter the room with the echo. You pretty much have to come in from the other side of drainage. Instead of from the bottom, you have to go. Like if you enter from garbage waste, it's probably easier. And if you come in from filtration, you have to do like a loop around the whole region. It seems like there's always scavengers here on this cycle. As long as they don't get in the way or throw something at me. Thank you. The scavenger is really going into a room with a large centipede, thinking that nothing will happen to them. Also, that's something interesting that can happen sometimes that I have yet to figure out how to do consistently. Sometimes you can grapple onto stuff with your tongue in a way where it like swings around you and like grabs onto the floor. I don't even know if there's a consistent way to do it, but I'd love to learn it. So you can do like the large, because if you're grappling onto something with your tongue and you jump on the ground, it'll give you a lot of extra height. So if there's a way to grapple onto the ground you're standing on consistently, it could make some areas a lot faster. Although I don't exactly know how useful it would be. Yeah, good luck trying to grab that. I don't like that centipede in the way. Wow, lantern mice are really strong. If a Miro Spurge can't get them off. Oh yeah, that some creatures just do not care about flashbangs at all. It makes sense since they cannot see, but for how like extreme the visual effect is, a bit strange. I don't know if I want to risk it. I will try. Just always like make sure there's no snails in a tunnel before going through it. And also don't bring a jetfish through the whole area. Let's see if I can make it to Rubicon at least. That's the goal. Also, snails. I mean, I'm making snails seem really dangerous, but they don't always kill you. Usually, if you're above ground, or if you're above water, they stun you for a long time, and they injure you too. I don't know if stunning and injuring are the same thing, but they don't instantly kill you. If you're underwater, it's very easy to drown, and you aren't able to control yourself at all. Also, hold up. Actually, I would like to get that lantern back. I forgot to put it back in my stomach. And goodbye, Jetfish. I didn't want you anyway. The water's moving too much for me to swallow this. And yeah, it's already got food. This is the first dangerous room. Okay, it seems interesting. Sometimes when you grapple onto stuff, you kind of start swinging immediately, and sometimes you like you don't move at all until you fall far enough for the tongue to like affect your movement. I don't see anything in here. Good. Yeah, I imagine they also they can cause you to drown, but they can also just kill you if there's enough of them popping. I'm not exactly sure how it works for the Saints, but they can, they could be injured by a lot of stuff. Jetfish or squid katos, they're able to injure you without killing you. And maybe while you were in the injured state, you die the next time you would get injured. So if you get hit twice by a snail or twice by a squid kato, you actually die to it instead of getting stunned. Which is honestly how I would like health to work normally. Because that was close. Because whether you die to a creature is just kind of random. Like a lizard, as the other sluggats at least. So it'd be cool if you were always able to escape at the cost of becoming injured. It would be nice if there was a jetfish here. It'd make this whole thing a lot faster. There's probably faster if the gravity is normal. Since you don't kind of float into the ceiling as often. See if I can go the bottom route this time. Okay, it already feels slower. Definitely slower if you bonk into everything. I guess that's kind of fast. You just float down like that. You want to be in this room when it's low gravity, so you could just float up the whole thing easily. Hello? Apparently it's not actually that easy. I probably could just tongue diagonally there to grab onto one of those poles. It's probably the fastest way to get through this room without getting stuck on the pole. Where it slides. They're messing up everything here. There's actually a platform there. Looks like sometimes you're able to jump high enough to get pushed by the wind. Interesting. Hello. Goodbye. Always end up. I feel like if you press the jump button to do something, that should prevent you from being able to wall bounce from the same jump input. So I press jump there to boost out of the pipe when I exited it, but that same jump input caused me to immediately wall pounce. So I lost all the speed that I would have gained from the pipe boost. Like since I pressed jump to boost from the pipe, I should no longer be able to wall pounce. I feel like that can also happen in other scenarios where, say, if I'm grappling around and I press the jump button just to release myself from the grapple, jump out of it, that also causes me to wall pounce if I'm moving too fast into a wall. The spider always manages to move so far away in a short amount of time. Hey, luckily that wasn't too big of a problem. It's probably just red spiders are just a lot more aggressive. Probably just better to extend slides. Just do that normally. There's no blue lizards here. Nope. I do wonder if there's another shelter around here that would be better than going to the one all the way by the Echo. Because there's that secret pipe over there, and it might be a better... I don't know if that leads to a shelter, but that might be a better option. Because I'd rather take advantage of the... like the Echo warping you back. What is over here? You know, I'm just gonna check. Since I've already made so many other mistakes this run, I might as well spend this run looking around a little bit. Hey, just trying to get past. This already feels like it's not optimal. Maybe if I go over here. Oh, I'd have to swim all the way down. Oh, rip that scavenger. Got blue lizard. I think there might be another shelter, like behind the Mira's vulture rooms or Mira's bird rooms. Kind of easy to confuse the names because they're both birds. Are they just a generic bird or a vulture? Both Miras. So I'm wondering if I go back here. See, now I don't know if backtracking all the way over here is worth the time that you save from having to backtrack from the Echo. So there should be a shelter close to this area. Yeah, right down here. So I guess I'll try this out. Might be a little bit faster. I mean, I'm not timing any of this. So I guess I could look back at it later to see, but... This also means I have to go further to get to the Echo. But if you have good movement going through these tunnels or these the rooms where the mirror spirits are in, going through these are quite fast. Unless there's some kind of creature in the way. Or too many mirror spirits. That's what your movement is like, ideally. But right now, it is not snowing that much. It still is not snowing that much. Yeah, I guess just because it is pretty early in the cycle. Hello? Just grab that higher platform. A lot of optimization for this room. Not fall down there. Hello. That does not count as a death. Although I do kind of wonder if you press the button there to exit out of game over. Sometimes I think there were bugs like that where the game over pop-up would pop up, but you would still be able to move around, just like if you accidentally pressed the wrong button, you would just exit out as if you did game over. I don't think any of these shelters are really a good option. I feel like the other one might be better. Closer to the echo. That's interesting. Usually mirror spirits will try to chase you down. That one was a little bit more persistent. I just forget that there's a platform there. Let's just like a shelter. Oh, spider. There might be a shelter like over that way. I'll have to explore this region a little further. Can't go up here. Austrian lizard, classic. I'm also going to use the exit out. So this is the only room labeled as 5 pebbles. So that's probably all you have to do. A little risky. Really tricked me there. Thought they would just keep running, but they turned around right aside, tried to get past them. Something difficult about mirror spirits, their bite animation is very quick. There's like barely any telegraph. I mean, other than that they're biting constantly, I suppose. So the moment you get within their range, they're probably gonna grab you. I did not mean to stop playing. It's kind of mixed between trying to keep spamming jump to grapple and also pressing jump just a single time to activate flight. So I ended up activating flight and then pressing jump again. Can I actually get past the mirror spirits this time? I got a notification and I went to remove the notification and I dropped too low. If I can just get to moon. Usually I do not struggle with the mirror birds at all. I just have to go like 2 rooms to the right, and then I'm safe. Until I die to a blue lizard, of course. Also, don't I just have to go down here? Why did I keep moving to the right? Yeah, I just need to go this way. I went over there for no reason. I also need to get better at activating the flights before I enter water. It makes your swimming a lot faster, so if you can activate it right before you hit the water consistently, you'll always swim faster. That's kind of funny. This gate is broken on the top and the other gate is broken on the bottom. It's kind of hard to tell where exactly that tunnel starts, since it's a smooth transition, but that's only the artwork. It's only the visual side of it. I mean, from this point on, it's probably ideal to never try to shelter, since you're gonna be underground most of the time, other than to go to moon. But with the flights, you're moving fast enough to not really deal with that, because you're going through water. Well, that's weird. It only now tells me I can ascend stuff. That was interesting. I kind of got a faster boost when I entered the water. And that's just how fast it normally is. Frigid Ghost. I think I will stay in this shelter, go ascend moon, and then end the stream. Managed to pop all of those. I mean, if it took, like, based on how long it took to get through Rubicon last time, even if I played more optimally this run, I probably wouldn't even had enough time to get through Rubicon. That's fine. Oh, I shouldn't have used all of my flights. Because I'm pretty much going to, the next stream I do, I'm going to dedicate entirely to Rubicon. Because I really need some practice in that area. Okay, I would have liked to swim across this whole thing. This is what we call not ideal. As long as it just doesn't come back up. I should probably just stay on the other shelter instead. Actually, I might freeze before I get there. It's like I can get in here. I think I'm safe now. None of that was ideal. But I forgot about staying in the shelter first before getting moon. It's interesting how you're able to warm up in the shelter. Considering that it should be around the time where the snow is like the area is the coldest, right? So it's also supposed to be nighttime, right? When it's when the cycle is over. I guess it's like insulating enough. Some of the shelters by like past moon as rivulet, some of those are heated shelters. So I guess which actually doesn't really make sense at all, because that means that they would have already known that that area would be colder. So I assume that, you know, that area is only cold. It's only bitter area because of moon's collapse, and also now that the structure is low enough. Safari region unlock jump scare. So it doesn't really make sense that some of those shelters are heated unless that was for some other reason. That was wonderful. That was a great jump. Hello, moon. Okay, that's it. Ending the stream now. Next time I'll finish up the last up until like, well, actually I might just do that off stream, getting to Rubicon. I don't think that was the case. I think around the time of the ancients, it was not cold. It was not that cold. They were able to live on the surface just fine. Just like normally. But eventually, you know, they built the iterators and a lot of time passed, and sometime after the iterators were constructed, the rest of the world outside of the iterators entered kind of an ice age, sort of. But the iterators act as a heat source for the surrounding regions, so they didn't really experience the cold. So it is only after the collapse of moon and pebbles when it starts snowing. And also, I guess the collapse of moon is when it starts snowing for the rivulets in bitter area. Unless the, it was already pretty cold before the iterators were built, so the ancients were adapted to it or something. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching. I will be doing more Saint speedrun related stuff later this week. I want to get in a lot of practice for Rubicon, and then eventually completing some actual runs with a timer, and like restarting when I make big mistakes, because the last one was very, very messy. So I'll see if I can actually optimize it and set a time. So yeah. See ya.